Hi guys, welcome to this weekly review for June. I believe today's 21st, so I'm doing a review from 8th to today. That's 2 weeks. I was not able to do the review for last week, so if you are just new on the channel, you're welcome. But I'm basically doing a live trading challenge to show my strategy, how the freedom protocol works, especially for busy professionals, busy executives. If your life is hectic but you know the power of Forex, you understand how leverage works, and you're looking for a simple strategy you can do within your busy schedule, then this is for you. So basically, we're up 3.8% on this account. We're about 3 weeks old on the account, and the current balance is 1037. Now, I started, this is the demo account, by the way. So this is a showcase account. This is not my live account. I deposited 10,000. Well, I started it, but I wanted a $1,000 challenge. So I had to withdraw 9,000 so that, it will default to $1,000 starting. So that's why you see this deposit and withdrawal here, so that we can start with 1,000. Now, in the last, so this is basically what has happened in the last uh two two thereabout 2 to 3 weeks thereabout. We started on June 2nd, and this was the first week. I did a recap of the first week, so you can actually check that on my channel or check the link in the description. But you can see that I had a string of I had a bad week the first week. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if it was the stress I was going through, if it was just the fact that I was doing this live. I made some bad decisions. I did not follow the plan, especially on 8th and 9th, and this never happens. Usually you don't have two consecutive losses, and not even this kind of loss. So that took us on a serious drawdown. I think about 35 35% drawdown on the account. So anyway, let's go into the last 2 weeks, and I will show you how we're able to get this back. We made 40% on 17th on the account, and this is a serious gain. But the majority of your trades are going to be 7%, 1%, 2%. We basically strive for about an average of 4% per week. So we are risking 1%. We are planning to make 1% per day. Even though we don't make that, but that's the goal. And we account for losses here and there. So you should really be expecting 3 to 5% in a week, because this is a high win rate strategy. So I'm just going to illustrate using Monday. This was the 8th of June. All right. So, by the way, let me know if you like this setup of the chart. I'm used to using the black setup, but I'm not sure. I think this may be better for illustration purposes. Let me switch off the volume. Okay. So basically what we do is we come to the chart, and I have my moving averages set up. If you want to learn how to do all this, just join the Telegram. You'd see a link to get the training, so you can know exactly what we are doing. But I have my live trading group right here, and you can see basically this is also my personal journal, but I journal in real time as the trade is going on. So on Wednesday, on 8th of on 8th of June. That was this particular day. Yeah, so that was this day. So I put a screenshot. Immediately I come on the chart, you can see the time 2:45, which is about this is just 15 minutes. Once the opening range has formed, I put this chart, you can see, and I alert all the guys in my trading Discord. So that was right here. And at this point is where we now go back, do our quick top-down analysis, and we decide what is our score. How do we grade this setup? So I said, so after we went through that, or I went through that protocol. The setup was, if we went long, it's going to be a B setup. If we went short, it would be an A setup. So basically, anyway, to be a B setup. So any direction we broke out is going to be a B setup. And B setup for me means I'm going to use 1% risk per trade. And then I'm also going to, yeah, so basically reduce the risk. Now, on this challenge, I am using 2% risk per trade because I want to see how that will work. On my personal account, I use 1%, okay? But I want to see how 2% will work. I've seen the maximum drawdown based on my experience. Usually like between the worst I've ever had is was about maybe 14, 15% drawdown in one particular day. So if the trade feels really, really bad, you could get that. But I'm okay with that because of the very high win rate of the strategy. I can make it all back in another month and go back to break even. So, but I decided let me try 2% risk trade, which is what we are doing on this challenge. So anyway, we broke out to the downside. As you can see, our TP was 126.8. I believe I must have put that in the Discord. So I set my alarms once I'm waiting for the trade. If the trade has not triggered, I just set my alarm so that I can go about other business that I have. And once the thing broke out to the downside somewhere here, I alerted them that we were in the trade. Okay. By the way, you can see I'm executing on MT5. I do not execute on Trading View because my broker is not on Trading View. My broker is on MT5. So we chart on Trading View, but we execute on MT5. And immediately this happened, we lost the setup. As you can see, I updated here that we lost the setup. But guess what? Because it was a B setup, we were supposed to DCA at the 21 EMA. So you can see this was the first entry. Let me get my marker. Uh, where's my marker? Okay. So first entry was here. This lost. Entered the second entry somewhere around here. I believe, yeah. That also failed, you know, and we lost. So this lost, this lost, and this lost. Those were about three entries I made that particular day, and they all lost. So uh okay, all right. So that was a huge risk. That was on 8th of June. So let's see what happened on the 8th of June. That was this day. So I basically lost 12, I lost 13% on this particular day. I think what even happened was I decided I was going to take the opposite side breakout. The opposite side breakout. I'm not sure. Let me see. I'll be reducing. Okay, we lost this set. All right, all right, all right. What happened was I had an invalidation zone. So let's go back here. So this was my invalidation zone. Yeah, this was a very traumatic experience for me, and it happens once in a while. So the idea is that when you take your first entry, okay, and that fails, you take the second entry that fails. We don't use a hard stop loss when we have a B setup. What we do is we have an invalidation zone, and that invalidation zone is just a place beyond the previous swing high. So the idea is because we're kind of sure of direction, or at least short-term direction, based on our great scoring. I will layer on my risk here just to get a little bit of a push down so that I can exit at break even, or just take some profit and close. So that's basically why we grade the setups. But we have an invalidation zone such that if price closes beyond this zone, it means that the setup has failed and we're probably reversing. So that was the whole idea here. And you can see on MT5 on my Discord, I had put my invalidations on, but price just broke right through and I had three losses. Okay. And the other thing I did was I doubled my risk at each loss. So this was 2x, 2% risk. Then I made this 4% risk, and then I made this 8% risk. So that was one silly mistake. I shouldn't have done that, especially because I'm using 2%. But anyway, that's what happened this day. And guess what happened? I exited. Can you count the the bars from this long bar here? One, two. So from this long bar here, I believe that's it. One, two. I exited right here. It was so painful when I saw this. I exited right here. Actually, I should exit just above this invalidation, but I felt this thing was about to at least have a little bit of a breather for me to exit some of the risk. But just after I closed all my trades, can you see what happened? The price eventually came back down. Sometimes this happens so annoying, but we have to always have to manage risk. So you can see that the strategy, well, if I had held on, still should have worked and I would have come back. I would have made a lot of profit that day, but that just didn't work out. And it's okay, all right? It's okay. Risk management purposes, you always have to be um you have to be responsible. So my solution to this kind of exposure, because this will happen once in a while, not too often, but once in a while it happens. When I have a B setup, because B is less certain than A. Okay. When I have a B setup, I will do only one DCA instead of two, because I had two DCA entries here. And then I would also um, reduce my risk to 1%. So that's a little switch I've done. When I have an A setup, I will go full risk and I will do two DCAs. Okay. And then if we break out to the opposite direction, if it's a B setup, I will not wait till invalidation zone. My invalidation will basically be breaking the opposite side so that I can join the next move. So if I had done that here, I would have just closed my two trades here in a lot and I would have entered here at double risk and I would have made, I believe, yeah, I would have made my money back, or at least break even at that point. But anyway, I did a long explanation because I was really pained that day, and we went to the next day. So let's go on to ninth. I'll try to be a bit faster here. This was a bad day. This was my worst day, I believe. So basically, same thing happened here. We did a trade. Today's trade, that trade was 55 points. So once I get my TP distance, I always update the group. And it was still a B setup. I think I still entered with 2% risk. I did not remember, and sometimes I'm doing this while driving. I'm doing this while picking the kids from school in a meeting, just checking my phone here and there. So usually, sometimes I don't get the best. So I think I'm not sure what happened. It was either I took an excessive risk while maybe I made a mistake while typing the lot size or something. I can't remember. Okay, I made a mistake in the lot size at first. This year entry is now um is two times risk. Okay, so I made a mistake in my entry, but the trade was already going against me. So again, because it was a B setup and the whole everything was looking nice, at least up to here. Look, just look right here. Everything was just looking like a nice uptrend. And then it just completely collapsed. So again, I taken an excessive risk by mistake. Okay. I think I missed instead of typing 0.03, I typed 0.31, something like that. So that happens. And if that happens to you, I mean, the best thing is just to close and just cut the loss because things can get really wild. So I said the week was a treacherous one. This week is a treacherous one, and the market is crazy manipulative. So you can see what happened was a crazy, crazy dump right from that point. Now, because this is a B setup, again, all I needed to have done once we broke out of this place, I should just have closed my trade and joined the other trend. Okay. So I said B trade, so I'm not going to DCA. Since we're going to lose this one too. I close all my positions and I'm going to allow this play out. The swings are high. I'm using 2% risk per trade on this challenge. All right, so that was that. So I actually lost that Tuesday trade as well. That was ninth. So that was nine. That was the day I got the biggest loss, 35%. Um, I think that was it. I lost 25% on that particular account or on that particular trade. So let's go on to the next day. That's 10th. All right. So So this was 10th. Again, what we do is we just wait for the opening range. Okay, so I should have said this opening range from 9:30. The first three candles on the 5-minute chart is what we use. And when we take the first breakout on either side, but we also grade the trade, the setup, so that we know how much risk to put on the trade, and also we know how to manage the trade. Okay, so um, I need to see what actually happened this particular day. Didn't have time to do live commentary. I was busy. It was a B setup. Okay. I ended up with 2.55 profit. I took a big drawdown with the two losses from Monday. Yeah. And okay, I said I was going to, I've talked about that already. So I was basically telling them that risk management is important. Okay. No matter how crazy the market goes, what you can control is how much risk you put on the table and how you manage it. So I can't remember. Let me see if I can remember what happened this particular day. Okay, so I think I was supposed to enter here, but I missed the entry and I entered right here. Okay, normally price can reverse. So I entered here and then I took out one. Yeah, so I basically made my money here. So I missed the entry here. So I just when I checked my phone, I think I was picking the kids from school. I just entered and I rode up to there. I took out my first TP somewhere here, and then I think I took like 50% off, and then I took the remaining at this candle right here. So that was how I made 2.5 on the 11th. So I'll just move through the other trades. So again, all we are doing is we're looking at the first breakout. So this worked out fine. This was 11. Okay, I think I missed this trade. I shouted about, I said, can't believe I missed that trade. I was picking up the kids early from school. I think they were closing from midterm. So I just got distracted while waiting for them. And then I had done my setup, but I wasn't there to take the trade, and this particular day was a good day. I could have just, made some good money, but I missed Thursday and Friday. So I said no point chasing the move, but it would have been an easy win. Let's see what happened on Friday. So let's go down. So usually I like to journal this so last trading day of the week, I put my I did my analysis. I was waiting for the breakout either up or down. We were looking for 81 points, and we basically broke up. We broke to the upside right here. Okay, so price went, and this happens a lot. What kind of, let me see what the setup was. I should have put it. Okay, it was a C setup. It was a C setup. So C setup means I'm not going to DCA. I'm just going to use a hard stop loss. So this went, it went all the way up here to like 70% or 75%, and then collapsed, took out my stop loss, and then went back to it, take profit. So I said, let's see if we have another opportunity. I believe that was 12th. First entry lost. I entered again with same direction. Okay, I think I entered somewhere. Let's see. Okay, so I think I entered again somewhere here under um 21 EMA. Maybe I did a layered entry when I saw this candle going up, and then I exited right there at the top. Okay, so yeah, so I was able to just some discretionary trading because I missed the first entry, and I'm not sure how I think I saw when I saw this candle going straight up like this. I think it had a little bit of a retracement. I entered right there. I could see the yellow also above, just looked like a retracement. I was looking at the price action, so just a little bit of experience and discretion there. So I was able to take out my profits at that point. and then that got me my for that Friday, 2.55% win for that day. So that was the previous week, and we moved into the first week. So you can see I'm basically doing the exact same strategy every single day, and I played that out. So with a like 70 to 75% win rate, and because of dynamic money management, we're able to cut cut risk and also have a very high expectancy on this particular strategy. So I was able to get back, I mean, 25%. I was at a point I was down. If you add 25 to 12, that's about 37% or 38% drawdown. But I was able to make everything back um here. So I'm gonna do let's go into the this current week. I will run through quickly so you can see how the trade went for me this particular week. So let's look at the last week of trading activity. So let's go back to trading view and open the Discord here. Where's my Discord? So that was from 15th of June till 19th of June, right? So let's go down to 15th. So basically, you can see how the Discord really works. Well, interspace here, some people may be sending, asking me questions and all that, but I just basically log all my trading data. But as we grow this community, there'll probably be more activity going on here. A lot of people are just in their, this is like 2:30 p.m. Nigeria time, so people are working and just trading off this information. So the TP was 42 points. So let's go to 15th. Yeah, this was 15th. 9 a.m. is here. So yeah, this week was more calm, and I think there were more opportunities even to make money. So 42 points was the target, and so I said something. I said there was a gap. I noticed this gap as I opened the chart, right? So I'm going to come back to explain. Technically speaking, price usually likes to always come back to visit the gap, but not just visit, actually to fill up this gap space before continuing higher. Whichever way you see, anytime you see a gap, if price was coming up and then it had a gap, it usually likes to come back, fill up that gap before it goes back higher. I'm not going to explain why, but it just happens. So I had that at the back of my mind as we were going into the session. Um, so I wrote that in the group, and then we had the trade. The price broke out to the upside here, and I think this was a. Did I record the setup? This looking more like an A setup for me, so I did not take. This was nearly a hard stop loss, so I was actually going to do a DCA if we had closed below the 21 EMA right here. But we didn't, we just touched it and then we went back up. So let's see what I did. So I set up here. So we'll this here. Okay, so you can see um that was where we were landing at this point. I think I actually took a trade. I will check my screenshot. So this was on the 1 minute chart, right? So I took a couple of entries. Sometimes I stagger my entries. So even if I'm going for 1% risk, I may take 0.5, wait a little and put the 0.5, the second 0.5. So that was what happened here. So I know we broke up. I entered the first, okay, I entered here and then price came back. I took another entry somewhere at the top of the range, right? And then this was already looking very clean. The moving average is pointing upwards. So I took my profit, I believe, somewhere. This is a 1 minute chart, so it's not showing exactly what happened here. But I believe it was somewhere around maybe here that I took my profit. But you can see price kept going up at least um, like maybe two more returns. So I could have had like
maybe a 1 to 3, enough for a 1 to 3 if I was going to trail, but I didn't do that. And why didn't I do that? Is because I had this resistance zone up here. So I didn't know if price would just touch it and reverse or get to the middle and reverse. So you see, sometimes I put my basic experience of support and resistance, of support zones, resistance zones, just experience in trading generally. But that was Monday's trade. I did come out with some good returns. So you can see this is what the true A setup looks like. Catching runners like this and trailing your profit is one of the huge leverage of this strategy, though you need to have some time to monitor the trade, which I currently don't have. So I took my profit somewhere there and left, but you could still have held on to take like some more money off the table. All right, so that's Monday. I ended up with was Monday. Monday was what? 15? Monday was 15. Yeah, so that was 7%, 7.1% I made on Monday. On Tuesday was 16th. So I was already feeling somehow. I could see the moving average was flattening out. I could see this happening, still inside this resistance zone I talked about. I was just feeling a bit funny about the trade, and even the fact I didn't like this setup. Like my entire three candles opening range was just consolidation, and I was having this here. So once the price broke out here, as you can see technically, even if I don't like the setup, I still take it because I want the odds to play out. So I took my entry right here. I said my emotions feel like the trade will fail because of the resistance above, and this leg looks like a fake out because there's no displacement. So that's just my analysis. Um, so one trade should not make or break you. The edge of the trading strategy is over several trades. So even if this trade fails, what makes me profitable is not one trade, it's 20 trades, 30 trades. Okay, so I said this is a B trade for me. I'm using 1%, and I will only do one DCA trade if I get the opportunity. So what happened was I entered here, as you can see, and then I took another DCA trade right here. Okay, and then immediately I didn't want to get caught because I was just feeling very bad about this trade. So I took a DCA trade here. Immediately the price came up to this point. My first entry is here, my second entry is here, and my DCA is at double risk, right? So immediately this got to somewhere around here, I got to break even. I exited all my trades because I didn't want to be caught in exactly what happened, next. So I did that. I took the second breakout, which was here. So I exited this trade at break even. I waited. Once I got this breakout, my strategy allows me to actually follow this trend because it means this was a false breakout and now this is a real direction. So I took that second break, and as you can see, I took it from here to here. I wrote it down. I took it from here and I got out here. Okay, but if I had held on again, you can see how this actually played out. And guess what happened? Guess where we were going? We're going right back to the gap that I talked about. Okay, so this was one of the things that made me like, you know what? I think this second move is actually more accurate because this gap should act like a magnet. Okay, but I mean, I was busy. I didn't want to get caught with an unmanaged, unmonitored trade. So I took my profit, and I came back. I saw that we actually came back to touch this. So that was Tuesday, and I even put it in my group. That I think we are headed here. Can you see that? That was just we're still up here. I said I think we're headed somewhere here to fill the gap. So now that was 16th. Now let's go to 17th, which was where the magic happened this week. I already saw that price had touched the gap, but I know that we had not filled the gap. Okay, so I had that at the back of my mind. Trend is already looking bearish. And this was looking like, okay, more like a retracement. And let me see, maybe we may want to continue to fill up the gap. So that was just my macro analysis. So on 17th, so what happened? Market opened and opening range formed. So I basically update and I log my trades that way. My analysis. So the 15-minute looks bearish. Also, the gap was just touched. It will likely need to be covered completely as an objective. So there's potential for going lower in my opinion. But let's see what the market presents. And I've put the TP distance of 37.29.7. So basically my first trade was a C trade. So you can see the first breakout was here. All right, this long wick was the first breakout. I entered here. It got to 60% and then reversed very quickly. Took out my stop loss. Now I took a second trade. So this was a funny day. I took a second trade here going up, and guess what? The price also failed. So this was two trades down. So when we came back here the third time, I also took, so let me copy this. So I took the third trade here. I think no, this was it. Yeah. So this one black was one that broke, came all the way down here and closed here. So this was the third breakout. So we had first false breakout, second false breakout, and then the third breakout. I was already at minus 4.4 for the day. But as soon as I entered this, I reoriented my priorities because number one, this is the second time we're breaking down to the downside. I have an objective lower, okay, and the price started going against me. Okay, so guess what I did? Um, I took this as a B setup because I was expecting a price would at least come back to touch this. So price that kept going against me, and look at all the time that went through. I sat through all this. I missed some opportunities. If I was available when this happened, I would have taken my profit. But I was also, I think I was in church or something on Wednesday, and price came all the way up here. So you would see my entries, my exits. This is me scaling in, scaling out of the trade. This was my second trade I missed. This was the third entry. So as the price was going up, I was putting in a little, putting in some more uh, DCA entries. Okay, like scaling in because I didn't know how far the price would go, but I just felt I know we are going to come back to at least touch the gap, even if we don't close it. So by the time we got to this point here, which is here, I already felt like, man, maybe this thing is reversing. I started closing, I closed some of my entries, my open trades there, which I shouldn't have really, because immediately I closed, then we started going down. All right, so I opened it was around this time. This is 2 o'clock New York time, and this was like 5 o'clock Nigeria time, or thereabout. No, no, no. I think it was like 6 or 7 o'clock. Yeah, this is MT5. So I saw this huge candle. I saw this. I saw this, and I put my TP. I put some TP1 here. I put some here. So, but some trades were still open. Okay, and the price was already reversing. I was like, man, okay, we hit the middle of the gap, and maybe price wants to retrace and continue and come back another, sometime later. So I ended all my trades here. The remaining open trades, I closed them up there. And that was where I made the 40% on the account because this was a huge move for all the DCA I had accumulated here. I was hoping to just come out somewhere here, but this one candle really uh, really did damage. So I made that 40% on this particular candle here, and then price actually retraced all the way up to the top of the range,
and then crashed back. It was a crazy, crazy volatile day to the bottom of the range. Can you see that? Bottom of the gap. So immediately it filled that gap. Guess what? Started going higher. Okay, so that was the objective. And I said I had to go at left, and I waited for the weekly gap to play out. So that was Wednesday. Price only wanted to fill that gap, and you can see the bounce upwards. So I alerted them in my group, and I said knowledge is indeed power. So that was Wednesday. That was where I made this 40%. You can see that 40.7%. That brought us back into at least to almost break even. Almost break even. So the last, I think that was Wednesday. Thursday, um, Thursday was 18th. So let's go to 18th. So Thursday was 18th. It was a, let's see. So 58.6 was the TP. So again, this was a weak breakout, but I took it. It was a weak breakout, but I took it. It was I'm not sure if it was a B setup. So I didn't write that here. Okay, but if it was a B setup, I would do a DCA. So that was exactly what happened here. I would not do a DCA for a C setup. It has to be either a B or an A setup for me to do a DCA. So when this happened, I think that was the first entry. Let's see. Okay, we had an entry here. So that was the first entry, and that collapsed. I did a second entry here, I think at the bottom of this block. And then I did a third. It was a layered entry though. So this is my double risk. You can see I'm supposed to come in at 0.7. So I put one here, and then when it went down a bit, I put a second DCA here, and then price began to retrace. Um, Watching closely. So again, I'm doing this while I'm in the middle of meetings on site. So when I got the opportunity somewhere here, I closed out the trade. Okay, and I made 4.3% because of the DCA trade that day. So that was 4.3 that I made on 18th of June. 18th of June was Thursday. I'm not sure if I traded on Friday. Let's check. So about to get in. Okay. Let's go to Friday. So this was Friday. Oh yeah, I definitely did trade on Friday. Okay, that's my highlight. Second highlight for the week. So now Friday had a very tight. I mean, I don't know what to call this kind of opening range. The entire range, was what, 40 points, and then just a funny consolidation with this doji, you know. But I took it. 57.6 was the TP distance, and you can see the TP distance is even wider than the entire range. So you already know that something is fishy for this particular day. Okay, so guess what happened? Because we had a conference this week in church, right? I was watching the trade. I entered. It is here. I said, patience, let it close. That was here. How it's going. So this was me driving, going to church. I was waiting for price to keep going up. And then guess what? At 6 o'clock, so this was at 3 o'clock. I totally forgot about the open trade. And at 6 o'clock, I remembered. And by the market had closed. I was expecting market to close by 11 p.m. Lagos time. But for some reason, my broker decided to close early. I don't know. Some other brokers were open, but mine was closed. So I never got the opportunity to exit this particular trade. If it was open, I would probably have just exited right there. This was when I saw the trade. So it was already yeah, somewhere here.
but there was nothing I could do, and price has just been uh you know sketchy since then. So this may skew my result again, but this is just the reality of trading. That when you're doing your back test, you don't usually account for all these human errors or things that are beyond your control. So as I record this now, I think the market is going to open in maybe 30 minutes because this is Sunday night. So let me just even check if the market has opened. Yeah, so the market has now opened. So once the market opens, um, if I'm lucky, because this there has to be an element of luck here. The market opens with a gap up, I'm just going to try and monitor it and close. I'm hoping that we don't open with a gap down, okay, because that would be catastrophic to my P&L and L and my trade statistics. But it happens, so and that's part of why I'm even doing this challenge to show you how I will manage these trades in real life. Because you will face these kinds of situations where things don't go out exactly as you plan them. All right, so to wrap this up, I'm just going to show you the trajectory of what we are planning to do here. I'm going to the calculatorsite.com, and basically I'm just going to the compound interest calculator. So the whole idea is I'm starting with $1,000 and I'm expecting to make roughly, you know what, let's say 15% per month on this particular challenge. Why? My backtest results actually using 1% risk per trade, I make between 10 to 15%. So now that I'm using 2% risk per trade, I'm expecting to make double of that amount. But let's just be conservative. So if I compound, I'm actually compounding every week, meaning I'm going to take my 2% value is what I'm going to use throughout for the 5 trading days. So my current balance is 1037. So I'm going to take 2% of that, which means I'm looking for 20 something dollars thereabout, as my TP distance. Um, so I will run that for a week. Whatever my balance is at the end of that week, whether it's higher or lower, that will determine my base risk for the next week. So let's do this for 1 year. At the end of 1 year, at 15%, I'm expecting my 1,000 to become 5,000. That's a 5x. This is a 5.8 x, okay, on the money. Investment doubled after 5 months. That's if it's 15%. If it's 20%, uh, it's essentially going to 10x the money. Are you seeing that? That's just in 1 year. If I do this for 3 years, that's looking like $1 million. Okay, at 20%, at 15%, it's looking like $200,000. This is the power of time as leverage. Okay, making 10 to 15% a month and doing that over 2, 3 to 5 years. That's exactly what this plan is. The only problem you will have is staying disciplined and consistent. That's the only problem. So we're not chasing, flipping accounts 50% per month, 100% per month. We just want to make a modest 10 to 15, which is really not modest by any standard, compared to traditional, financial vehicles. But so I'm just giving you an idea. I said 1,000 to 300,000 um, dollars. So really, if I do 15% for 3 years, I'm going to get to 200,000. If I actually get an average of 20%, um, let me see how long it takes me to make 300,000 with 30%. With 30%, I would take about 29 months, so a little over 2 years to get to $300,000. So let's see at the end of month one, we will see what our monthly return is. I really think we can do above 20 to 30%, but let's just keep it conservative as for our expectation. All right.
So thanks for watching. If you like to follow along this series, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. That is where I post all the updates and the recaps and the reviews. Make sure you join the Telegram. That's where you can actually get updated in real time. I do post some tidbits there, some advice, and then if you are serious about joining this and doing it for yourself, um, you know, you can join me in the Discord. So the steps to take to join the trading community, my live trading group, is going to be in the Telegram, and you'll be able to communicate with me live, have real-time access to me, and join me to trade Monday to Friday, on this particular Freedom Protocol. So thanks for watching. If you have any questions, drop in a comment, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great week ahead, and God bless.